You look fabulous.
My neck up.
It's going from lovely to lovelier. No, it looks good. You look good. Hold on, let me get this situated. Okay. Okay, so this is take 2.
Oh, good.
Yay.
Take 1 is gone.
Take 1, there's no take 1. I'm so sorry. So, okay, Grandma.
Yes.
Hello.
Hello,
Thank you for being willing to do this. I'm very excited. Thank you for being willing to repeat what you just said over again.
All right.
Sorry about that.
That's okay.
Okay, so if you could just start by saying your full name.
Anne Louise Chaffee Rodrigo.
Rodrigo. And when you were born?
I was born November 21st, 1931 on my parents' 8th wedding anniversary.
Ah. And where were you born?
I was born in Grand Rapids, Michigan in Butterworth Hospital.
And you were saying something about how you were named.
Oh, well, I didn't have a name for 10 days because I do believe my parents were expecting a boy.
Uh-huh.
And
they wanted to name you as a boy?
Miles, I think they were going to name me if I was a boy.
Okay.
And so they didn't have a girl's name picked out.
Okay.
And so for 10 days I didn't have a name. And then my dad's brother, Lentz Chaffee, came to visit. And he said, why don't you name her Anne, since she was born on your anniversary? So that's how I got my name. And then my middle name, Louise, is after my dad's mom, Pauline Louise.
Okay.
Fairchild Chaffee.
I love that story. That's
so
cute.
That's how I got my name.
And your parents, will you tell me their names?
Sarah Marie Northup Chaffee and Miles Addison Fairchild Chaffee.
And what years were both of them born?
My dad was born in 1900 in Marionette, Wisconsin.
Okay.
My mom was born in 1902 in Grand Rapids, Michigan.
Okay. And when did both of their families come over? Do you know?
I'm not positive about, I know my grandpa was 21 when he moved from St. Philip's Land in the Netherlands.
On which side?
My mom.
Your mom's?
My mom's side. First, her mother, when they lived in St. Philip's Land, they lived there.
They were married there?
No, they weren't married there. They were just young people dating.
Oh, okay.
It's a really small town. My mom and I went to visit that town. It was quite fascinating.
Oh, you did? Where is it in
It's on the southern tip of Holland.
Okay, southern tip.
And it's called St. Philip's Land. We had to take a ferry to go over there. Aunt Sue and Uncle Rich were with us.
How come you have to take a ferry?
Well, it was at the southern tip, and I think there was probably a way to drive. But we rented a car and we drove from Amsterdam to St. Philip's Land.
Oh, okay.
And then to get there, it was faster to go on this ferry.
So there's a body of water somewhere by it?
Right.
Okay.
It's right at the tip, so it's surrounded by water.
Okay.
So then anyhow, we went there, and my mother had a cousin that was still there. Her name was Marie, and I don't know her last name.
Oh, wow.
A cousin, and then her son. They lived there.
Oh, neat.
So we had lunch with them.
That's so
in
fun.
a very, very small town. And we saw where my grandparents had gone to church.
Wow.
We saw where both of them grew up, the homes that they lived in.
Oh, wow.
So
that must have been so special.
It was. And then her family moved to the United States. They came to America. And so then shortly after that, my grandpa followed and came to the United States. He fought, because she was over here, she was in the United States with her family. Left him behind in St. Philip's Land.
Okay.
And so he followed her over there.
Do you know what year this was?
No.
No, in the 1800s.
But I'd say he's 21, so
it's hard to...
I mean, I could figure that out if I had a...
Wait, we could figure it out together, but 21 and then had... So maybe like in the 1880s, 1870s? Because then they probably, not that long after, had children.
Yeah, well, they were... And I don't even know the year they got married. I should look that up. There's a book.
There is. All that information.
All that information in there. But they got married, and
So
then,
he followed her. So they were enough in love that he
exactly,
said, "That's it. I'm leaving.
right.
I'm
And
coming
her
to get
name
her."
was Elizabeth DeBlay.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, and he was Joseph Norfolk.
And Dublé, is that a
DeBlay, that's French.
yeah?
So there she has some French blood, and you have some French blood in you.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
So do you.
Yeah.
So, but you don't know beyond. You don't know where the French comes from. You don't have that information.
Mm-mm.
Do you think Aunt Liz might know that?
She knows everything.
Oh, she's the all-knowing.
Yes, that's how I would find everything out.
That would be fun to.
But
find
it is
that
all
out.
it's all written down.
It is.
Now
Great.
maybe you'd be interested in looking at all that
I would love to.
information.
Yeah. Great. I'll put an addendum on the video.
Okay. Yes. Yes.
So, okay, so they came over, let's just say like late 1800s.
Well, because my mother was born in 1902, and they had 10 children after they got married, and my mother was, I think, the third from the youngest.
Okay.
So
That would have had to been, hey, this sounds about right, like late 1800s.
Mm-hmm.
And where did they settle? Where did
Grand Rapids,
that was the
Michigan.
original destination?
Right,
And what did they do?
well, my grandfather studied English and the Constitution, and he became a citizen. He ended up speaking with no accent and beautiful handwriting.
Oh, wow. What was his name?
His name was Joseph Norfolk. And then they had 5 girls and 5 boys.
Wow.
And my grandpa had a lumber company. It was called Joseph Norfolk and Sons Lumber Company.
Oh, wow.
In Grand Rapids.
Okay.
And so he had that for a long time.
And it was successful?
It was quite successful. Yeah, I think
he did well.
Really
they
well.
Did really well.
And they had the first car in Grand Rapids, Michigan.
Wow. And Grand Rapids is not a small.
No, it's big. Well, I don't know what the population was then, but it's large.
It's a city, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's large.
Wow.
It's known for furniture, actually.
Oh. I did not know that.
Yeah, it is.
Oh. So they were
furniture manufacturing.
They were in the inn.
Well, he had a lumber company, and then it was successful for a long, long time.
Mm-hmm.
I remember going there as a little kid, and the sons worked there.
And what was your grandmother's name?
My grandmother's name was Elizabeth.
Okay, you said that.
And then she didn't really speak very much English. She was just home having
babies.
Kids. And only time that she left the house was to go to church on Sunday or go visit. Somebody would take her to go visit one of her kids after, they got married. I remember her coming to our house and doing my mother's darning. They used to darn the socks.
Uh-huh.
As a matter of fact, your mother has the piece of furniture where all the darning, the socks.
Oh, it goes like this.
Right.
Yeah.
And the top lifts up.
Yeah.
Right, and that's used to sit next to a chair in my house when I was little in Grand Rapids.
Oh, wow.
And that's where my mother kept, because nobody threw away socks when they got a hole in it.
Uh-huh.
You darn them. You would fix them, you'd repair them.
Do they call it darn because you're like,
darn,
I've got to do this?
Yes, darn. So that's when her mother would come over and do that for her.
Oh, well, that's a nice mom.
Uh-huh. That's what I remember about my grandma. And then, but she was very warm and loving. And,
she was.
Oh, yeah, she was.
But she couldn't speak
But
much.
she didn't really learn English very much with all those
Did
kids.
you know how to speak Dutch?
No, but my mom did, and all of her sisters, and they used to speak Dutch when they didn't want us to know what they were talking about.
But they didn't teach you?
No, they didn't, and then when my mom left and moved to California, she really didn't speak Dutch after that, and she kind of lost it.
Oh, but her sister came.
Right, her sister moved, Aunt Sue.
At the same time? Or? No.
Several years later.
Oh, okay. So they just kind of decided
They just,
not to really keep speaking Dutch, I guess.
They were, actually they were living with my grandma and grandpa and taking care of my grandma because she was kind of frail and fragile after a while.
Uh-huh.
And
Sue was living with.
yeah,
Oh, okay.
Aunt Sue and Uncle Rich, and the two kids, Alice and Dick Smith.
Okay.
They lived there and took care of my grandma, and then eventually decided to leave there and move to California. And then Uncle Rich worked for my dad
Oh,
at a
okay.
furniture store
And so you lived in Grand Rapids until,
until 1942.
and you were 9.
Yeah.
Okay. And you were saying that during the Depression, your family was affected by that.
Oh yeah.
Do you remember that?
Well, no, I don't remember any hardship, but
You don't.
because I was young. Aunt Liz remembers more of that than I do.
She does.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
She's 5 years older than I am, and I had just started kindergarten when they lost that house and we moved.
Mm-hmm. So you wouldn't have much.
No, I was just a happy little girl.
Yeah. Super cute little girl.
And I had a kitty cat that one day was disappeared, and I never knew what happened to it.
Oh no. Oh.
My mother said, "Not me. I don't know."
Oh, so you had said that your dad had been working in a furniture company,
Mm-hmm.
and then he lost that job,
Mm-hmm.
and then he found another one, but then at some point
He
decided
tried to
that,
open up his own business, and that was too difficult, I guess, financially, in Grand Rapids.
okay,
And then his cousin Ruth, who was the daughter of Mary, his aunt, that he lived with Ruth. Ruth was like his sister, only she was 10 years older, but
okay,
she was like his sister when he left his grandma
because he lived with his grandma.
till he was 9, and then he moved in with Mary and Fed Hutchins.
Hutchins.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And he was in the sawmill business. He went from sawmill town to town,
Oh,
working in sawmills.
and so your dad moved with them,
Mhm.
moved around.
Mhm.
So he was in one place with his grandma, and then once he moved in, and how old was he when he moved in with them? Do you know?
9.
Okay. So at 9, then he started.
And then he had his family. He had his Aunt Mary and Uncle Fed and Ruth as like she was like his sister.
Oh, that's nice that he.
It was nice. It was really nice.
And he was close to them.
Oh yes, yes. He took care of them always, the rest of their lives. After he grew up, got married, and then was successful in the furniture business himself. Then he took care of his aunt.
And where were they? Were they still in Michigan?
And then they were in Vallejo.
Oh, they ended up being in Vallejo.
They ended up in Vallejo.
Oh.
Yes.
Nice. So they said come out to California during the Depression.
Because Ruth and her husband George had a furniture store called Vale Furniture when the war started, and then so many people, and we went from 20,000 people to 80,000 people, and everybody needed furniture.
Right.
So my
that's
dad
so smart.
came and opened up a store.
Oh, so he really capitalized on.
On the
That's
war.
smart. Yeah. Wow.
Mhm.
And so you were saying that he went earlier than the rest
He went
of
about
you.
5 months before we did, and that left my mom to sell all our furniture and everything because they didn't want to move it. Only thing we moved was a vacuum cleaner, and that was in the back seat on our trip across
Really?
the country. Yes.
Do you know why she
I
chose
don't
to
know
bring the
why.
vacuum cleaner?
I don't know. That's so funny. That's a funny memory.
That is a funny memory. What about clothes? Did you bring clothes?
Oh
with
yeah,
you?
we were sitting on clothes and
Really?
in the back seat. We had a lot of stuff in there. I'm sure the trunk was full.
Oh my gosh.
She brought everything she could, and
Wow.
that was a huge thing for my mom because she was only like 42. No, 40.
40.
40. And she had all of her sisters, and I had like